Wisconsin just about ready for the Badgers and the Wolverines in a rematch of last season's Big Ten championship game. The game, of course, won by Michigan in D.C. John Beilein, the head coach, year 11 in Ann Arbor. What a run it's been at the helm of this Michigan men's program. Final Four appearance in 2013. But it has not been a good Michigan team on the road this season. Just 3-5 in true road games, beaten at Northwestern on Tuesday night, a game in which they led for the first 23 minutes. No Isaiah Livers today. The freshman is out with an ankle injury, and so Duncan Robinson, who has started 18 games this season, will get the nod. And meantime, 3 freshman starters for the Badgers. And it has been a challenging season and a different type of year for Greg Gard. A couple of Sweet 16 appearances in his first 2 years.
As Greg Gard told us yesterday, the last time that this Wisconsin program started 3 freshmen was 1998. And that's last year they had a losing record. But you have to remember, Spiro, Wisconsin has played 7 of their last 10 games on the road. 4 of their next 5 starting today are at home. So they're in a position to make a little bit of a run, maybe spoil some other people's plans.
Our officials, Terry Oglesby, Lamont Simpson, and Mike Eads. It has been a head-to-head that has been dominated by Wisconsin. Certainly here at Madison, they've taken 13 of the last 14 meetings in this city. Here comes Matthews right down the paint. And the early whistle here going against Michigan. Offensive foul.
Wisconsin starts in the man-to-man, and of course that's what the Badgers are noted for playing. And Matthews is a guy who I think has to be aggressive, has to get to the ball to the basket. An unfortunate break for him right there.
Just told you about the Badgers' big win at Illinois on Thursday night. Of course, that's been the one constant even this year, is that they defeat Illinois, and it ended a 5-game losing streak for the Badgers. And as Greg Gard told us, the record hasn't been good, sub 500, but they have been very competitive as we get a traveling violation here charged to Khalil Iverson. Iverson, the junior, Delaware, Ohio native.
Spiro, you're absolutely right. Not only did they win at Illinois, which is a tough place to play, but they basically dominated that game. They were right in the game at Maryland, so they have been in games. They just have not been able to score enough to finish them.
And Dan, one of the things here, certainly that we saw so many years under Bo Ryan, Wisconsin always seemed to have a veteran team, and this is the first time in recent memory that they've been so young, certainly this young. What a drive and finish that time. Xavier Simpson, the sophomore, who has been so good for Michigan at times this season, manning that point position.
He's tough, he's aggressive, he can get the ball to the basket, he's not afraid to win. And now, unfortunately, he's been a pretty poor free throw shooter, but that was a great drive. And here's the matchup you're looking for. Down on the on the right block is Happ against Wagner. Wagner's got to be very careful he does not get in foul trouble.
This is Davison, who's been playing with that bum shoulder since about the 4th game of the season. It's been dislocated multiple times, but the kid, tough as nails, fires an errant 3 with the shot clock down to 2. And the rebound pulled by Matthews.
So far, great pressure on the ball by Michigan. Wisconsin has been looking to throw it to Happ, but they haven't been able to find him.
Michigan 20th in the AP poll, 19-7. That's Matthews extending to the cup.
Obviously, Michigan's strategy is very self-apparent here. They're going to take the ball, drive it to the basket. They've had 3 possessions. They've done the same thing 3 times. 1 charge and 2 easy baskets.
Matthews coming off just a 5-point outing the other night at Northwestern. 2nd lowest point total of the season as Happ is turned back on the interior.
Happ made that one harder than he had to.
Muhammad Ali Abdul-Rahman, outside jumper from the other side of the top of the circle, won't go, and then the foul underneath against the Badgers.
What we talked about with Matthews is he is a guy who can really put the ball on the deck. He's really quick off the dribble. He's strong. He can finish inside. That's a hard matchup for Nate Reavers. I'm not sure that Reavers has the foot speed to stay with Matthews out on the perimeter.
A couple of changes. Aaron Maish, a senior out of Green Bay, and Alex Ilikainen, a junior out of Grand Rapids, Minnesota, checking in for the Badgers for the first time today. Fouls charged to a lean forward. This is Duncan Robinson, and when that 3-point shot is working, this has been a completely different Michigan offense.
It absolutely is. Robinson was only 3 for his last 14 over the last 4 games coming in, so that's a great relief to that Michigan bench to see Robinson's first one go in the basket.
Robinson, a fifth-year senior, Newcastle, New Hampshire native, former Division III player at Williams College, under one of John Beilein's former ex-assistants, Mike Maker. That little backdoor pass intended for Brevin Pritzel off of his hands as the Badgers turn it over.
And you have to know that Robinson is a guy who is going to really be able to shoot the ball. That time Ilikainen got way too far off, but that's what happens when you drive the ball to the basket. The defense collapses back in, and they give up those outside shots.
So a good start for Michigan. Badgers, meantime, still looking for their first points. You see some of their offensive woes till this point. Abdul Rahman shot a little bit short. Well played by Iverson, and back come the Badgers.
Of course, Wisconsin is not a team that's going to get up and down in transition. Michigan doing a nice job setting the defense. And in their man-to-man, they have done a great job putting pressure on the ball. Very difficult for perimeter guys to see the open players inside.
Charles Thomas has also come on for the Badgers. He did not play in their game at Illinois, on Thursday night. Shot clock at 4. This is Davison, another tough shot. This time he sticks it. Long two for their first points.
Well, Davison is one tough guy, and that's the second time he's been forced to pull up at the end of the shot clock, and that's not normally his strength, but the Badgers needed that one badly.
He's a terrific football player, one of the best in the state of Minnesota last season. One of the toughest players, certainly in the Big Ten Conference this season. What a drive by the big man underneath. That's Mo Wagner, the junior, who's been so good, as John Beilein told us, Dan, as a three-point shooter from the outside, which was a surprise, but certainly can do it on the inside as well. As we'll get a timeout.
But Mo Wagner, you said he's a great three-point shooter. Doesn't do a lot of driving the ball to the basket, but when he does, and he can finish, this is a really good team.
Finishing in double-digit points, Big 10-point win. Michigan's only win against a ranked opponent this season. But boy, how impressive a win was it. A team that enters the day 19-7. This is their tournament profile. We watched the boys back in the studio. Jerry Palm currently has them banned as an 8 seed in the tournament. What do you think?
Well, I think I agree with John Beilein. He told us before the game they have to keep winning games. That this is the point. You know, nobody's really in the tournament yet. They're projected to be in the tournament, but they can play themselves in or out as the case may be. And this is an important game for them. They started very well.
And that Michigan State performance aside, maybe their two best performances of the year, aside from that game with the two losses against Purdue. They played the Boilermakers as tough as any team, certainly in the conference. Good looking shot from the outside. That's Jordan Poole, another freshman for John Beilein, a Milwaukee kid, into the game and quickly putting his imprint on this game.
And the thing that's putting an imprint on the game is Michigan is making three-point baskets. That's something over the last 6 games, with the exception of that Purdue game that you just mentioned, they have not been able to do.
5 Michigan field goals have been scored by 5 different players. Good balance to their offense so far. This is Iverson. Shot clock down to 6.
Now, if you wondered why he didn't shoot the 3, he's 0 for 21 from out there this year, so that was a pretty good decision.
That'll make you think twice about it. Outside shot from a lean forward, a little bit short, with the shot clock expiring. This is Abdul Rahman, and the Wolverines will reset.
Michigan is doing a great job getting the ball quickly into scoring position.
Wagner from deep. Got it! What a start for the Wolverines as Greg Gard wants a timeout. Michigan 6 of its first 8, opening up a 13-point lead. And Omarosa, see how they all get along in the same house. New celebrity Big Brother tonight on CBS. Spiro Ditas, Dan Bonner, rest of our CBS crew, Kohl Center, Madison, Wisconsin. They don't want to start for Michigan.
Well, one of the things we mentioned, Spiro, the last 14 times they've played in here, Michigan is 1-13, but they have a very quick start, and it's based on the fact that they started driving the ball early. That drew the attention of the Wisconsin defense. They've had some open threes.
This is Happ, one of the more skilled big men in the country, well played underneath. But they turned it over nonetheless. Here comes Poole all the way to the cup. Boy, everything but the finish that time. As the whistle is blowing underneath, this will be against the Badgers. Poole, the freshman who just hit the three-pointer a moment ago, trying to take it to the rack, but they played Happ well so far.
Well, one of the few times they've been able to get it into Happ, and Teske does a nice job just keeping his hands up, staying between Happ and the basket. And even though Happ is so skilled and so good down in there, Teske's 7 feet tall. That's hard to get the ball past him.
The last foul charged actually to Michigan's Abdul Rahman, so the Badgers have it. But the question now is, can they get their offense going? Just one of their first 5. Multiple turnovers as they try to get Happ going, the All-American junior. Happ, well played by John Teske. Stepping move, so resourceful with his offensive game.
Well, that's why he's so tough, is most times you throw the ball inside to a big guy, and the big guy can't do multiple dribbles in there. It's one dribble and a move, but Happ is the guy who can really operate, and if you're going to allow him to do that and not double team him, he's going to score a very high percentage of baskets.
Only player in the Big Ten leading his team in points, rebounds, and assists, as Abdul Rahman, meantime, has the quick answer. Long 2 for the senior out of Allentown, PA.
Well, Happ also leads them in blocks and steals, and he leads them in another category, and that's turnovers, and that's only because he handles the ball so much.
Happ actually a senior academically, but a junior in terms of his eligibility.
Well, they make liberal use of the red shirt here at Wisconsin.
Happ has to go to the left-hand point, nearly got it to fall.
But again, that's a tough shot, and Teske doing a nice job moving his feet and just staying in front.
There comes Robinson making the start today for Livers, who's out with that ankle/foot injury. Shot clock still at 13 seconds. A little stop-and-go maneuver, and the officials say a palming violation as Michigan turns it over yet again.
That's Jerron Simmons, and he's the guy who came in as a graduate transfer from Ohio, and they expected big things from him, and he struggled a little bit adjusting to the game at the Big Ten level, and one of his problems has been turnovers, and he turned it over right there.
So a rare possession where Michigan has not gotten the shot down that they wanted here. It's been a very efficiently played game by the Wolverines offensively, as evidenced by the score of 13 points.
One of the things that Michigan doesn't do is turn it over, and so it's going to be very difficult if you're Wisconsin. You got to tighten it up on the defensive ends, but it's going to be hard to force turnovers. Here's Happ again. He's got all day.
Happ just walking Teske to the rack, turns and goes glass.
Well, obviously that time Michigan making the decision not to double team. When he's playing against Wagner, you will see the double team, but they feel a little more comfortable with Teske. They're not worried about Teske getting in foul trouble.
And what a game Happ played for them in that win Thursday at Illinois. 27 points for the big man, 6 boards, not to mention 8 assists and 3 blocks as Michigan turns it over yet again. So finally some resistance by this Badgers defense, but an excellent start for John Beilein's Wolverines. Up early in Madison. Had here so good for so many years, 19 straight NCAA tournament appearances. That's tied for 4th longest active, 6th longest in the history of the sport.
And obviously, unless there's something miraculous happens, that streak of NCAA tournament appearances will end. Their other 2 streaks of records in the Big Ten are also going to end. But again, they lost 4 starters. They had a couple of injuries to key guys. They're playing a lot of freshmen. They're still adjusting out there.
Happ just about to drag that pivot foot, was able to get the shot off.
And he's been able to get shots, but they've been tough contested shots, and he has not put the ball in the basket. And if he's not going to put the ball in the basket, the Badgers are going to struggle.
Cole nearly lost his footing. This is Matthews, guarded by Pritzel with 9 to shoot. This is Simmons. That's a 3, and he sticks it.
Well, Greg Gard's got to wonder, good heavens, what's going on? Over their last 6 games, Michigan has barely hit 30% from beyond the arc, but they are lighting it up today. 4 for 5.
Well, can someone aside from Ethan Happ give them some offense? That, of course, has been a question mark all season for Wisconsin. Happ has taken 6 of their first 9 shots. Here he is again. 5 to shoot, and he's headed to the free throw line. Incredible.
Well, interestingly enough, Michigan is now playing a lineup with both of the big guys in the game, but still the Wolverines elect not to double team Happ, and that time Happ goes to the other side of the basket. And Spiro, I'm telling you, that is a difficult shot. He made that one, but another thing that the Michigan defense has been doing is forcing him into tough opportunities.
And he's so unique for a guy his size, grew up playing point guard. His father talked about all those ball handling workouts he used to do with his brother in that long driveway that they had out in Illinois. But he looks like a center, thinks and plays like a point guard. This is Teske, led to the cup, and then Happ is there with the contact as Teske will shoot too.
That is a tough play for Happ to try to make. He got caught up on that screen and roll situation, and Ford didn't get in the lane quickly enough, and certainly Wisconsin can't have Happ in foul trouble.
So this is John Teske, the sophomore, Medina, Ohio native. Only a 57% free throw shooter, and the free throw shooting, of course, has been likely the biggest Achilles heel for this Michigan team all season long. Get the CBS Sports app, inside access to your favorite teams. Watch highlights, get breaking news, scores, and more. Download the CBS Sports app today. And just like that,
Teske overall may shoot 57% from the line, but in conference play, he is now 10 for 11.
John Beeliner's pretty funny in our talk with him. He says he's tried meditation. He's told his players to think of their mothers at the free throw line, or
well, I don't know. You know,
someone you love and you care about.
Well, you love and you care about your mother, but some of these guys have mothers who will probably yell at them, make your free throw.
Brevin Pritzel filling it up from downtown.
That's what my mother would have told me.
Tough love in that Bonner household growing up, huh? Well, how badly did the Badgers need that shot? It's Jordan Poole well off, and then Wagner getting his hands dirty on the offensive glass.
Well, Jordan Poole never met a shot he didn't like.
Here comes Simmons all the way through, outside to Poole. Good play by Simmons.
How did that ball stay in bounds?
You're right. Shot clock at 10. This is Matthews. Wagner left open.
Basket by Wagner.
Just great movement of the ball and of personnel by the Michigan Wolverines. And now Wagner's got 2 baskets right at the hoop, and that's something that is not normally a strength of his. And despite how many threes you make, I think to be a really good team, you have to be able to score at the basket. And we've seen Michigan do both things, make threes and score close to the goal today.
This is Reavers as a whistle is blown off the ball. Looks like Happ was pushed as he wrestles for that low box. Another look at the Wagner finish.
But Wagner went off that screen and roll and was open down inside. And Pritzel, there's nothing he can do about it. You know, you say, well, the guy ought to rotate down, but that doesn't help anything when Wagner's 7 feet tall.
And Wagner, Dan, has had some big games for them. 7 points so far today. 27 points in the win at Michigan State. He was so good in that game. And even earlier this week in the loss at Northwestern, 20 points, getting better and better. That's Happ. Off to the left, and the rebound by Wagner. What a matchup between those two today.
That's good defense by Wagner. And again, Happ misses a point-blank from point-blank range.
So look at the footwork from Wagner. So good. And he'll challenge Happ like few can in this conference. Able to draw contact that time with 8:31 left in the half.
But that time, Aleem Ford did get there in time to help.
22 to shoot. They inbound to Robinson. Robinson making his 19th start of the season. That's a deep three, and he buries it. Second triple for Robinson.
And with the way this Michigan team, as improved as they are defensively, if the ball's going to go in the basket, they suddenly become a very tough out for anybody.
Andy Van Vliet, big man, junior from Belgium, onto the floor for Wisconsin for the first time.
And he doesn't play very much, and I think you see Greg Gard just looking for some combination where he can have some success.
Said that he played the two bigs together, and there is Van Vliet. Only his 8th three-pointer of the season. Here's Wagner, certainly can shoot it, and he sticks it at the other end. Michigan 6 of 8 from deep.
And again, this is a team that has been struggling with their scoring over the last couple of weeks.
Davison nearly traveled, able to get it out to Ford. And that shot not even close. Matthews. Robinson.
Oh, wow.
And Michigan just keeps on coming. Timeout, Wisconsin, as the Badgers down 18.
Well, it's raining three-point baskets, and they've got them from 4 different guys. Wow.
Quarter-pound junior double cheeseburger with crispy golden tots for just $2.99. Makes me kind of want to do a double take.
8 seed projected, of course, in the NCAA tournament. Boy, they look a lot better than that.
Well, they certainly look like an NCAA tournament team today, and that's something that over the last couple of weeks at times Michigan has not looked that way. But what you're seeing today is a Michigan team that's very sharp offensively. This is a team that's reminiscent of a typical John Beilein team. They can score. But what did John Beilein tell us? He's got to get some contributions from the people he described as the outliers. Duncan Robinson, he mentioned specifically. Well, okay, mission accomplished there. And Jordan Poole coming off the bench. These are the guys who have to really pick up their game if Michigan is going to win its way into the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, we sat with Beilein this morning, and he said, this was the point of the year last year where some of those players really started to come into their own. Of course, Derek Walton, everyone knows about him. As the tip by Ford won't go, DJ Wilson really started to pick up his play. Zach Irvin, of course, a team that eventually went on that incredible run in the Big Ten Conference tournament all the way to the championship. And so really the time is now with just a couple of weeks left in the month of February.
Wisconsin is having a difficult time scoring because they're getting the ball close to the basket, but they just can't get it to go in. Ford had an easy one that time, just missed it.
It's been a struggle for them to find offense around Happ as Matthews coming off that screen. And Dan, right now it's just too easy for Michigan. Very little defensive resistance from the Badgers.
You're absolutely right. Their offense has struggled, but their defense has really been an issue for them. And Michigan just moving the ball, moving players so well.
Michigan is 13 of 17 shooting. This is Happ. Wagner making it look awfully hard, but Happ just so good with both hands. He's got 9.
Yeah, a lot of guys get the ball in there, and you say, okay, I'll play him to shoot the ball right-handed or left-handed. With Happ, you never know what he's going to do. He's so fundamentally sound. Pump fakes, pivots. He can do about anything inside.
That ends an 8-0 run by Michigan. Here's Matthews. Wagner from deep. Well short, and will careen into the Wisconsin bench. A rare miss and kind of a mock cheer from these Wisconsin fans.
Well, we're seeing some interesting substitutions. You talked about Van Fleet making that 3. That was his first. Those were his first points of the Big Ten season for him. And now you see Austin Davis coming in the game for Michigan. And Austin Davis has played in exactly 1 Big Ten contest. He played 2 minutes. So John Beilein not afraid to go to his bench. Everybody looking for the right combination.
Davis, good size, 6'10", about 250. And he'll try to contend with Happ here as we come up on the 5-minute mark before halftime. Happ double team. Davis in from the corner. Three-pointer rims out and the rebound cleared by Simpson. Matthews a foot race. Pritzel trying to draw contact, and it will be an offensive foul.
Boy, that was a good play by Pritzel, but Matthews could have maneuvered around him a little bit. Looks like Matthews has an angle here that he gets that shoulder and puts it right into the chest of Pritzel, and that's what the officials are looking for. If they make shoulder-to-shoulder contact, then that is a blocking foul, but he went right into his chest, and that's what made it a charge.
So Matthews has to sit. Good start for them, for him. 4 points, has hit both of his shots, but has done a little bit of everything.
Well, the
rebounds and assists for the Wolverines.
The bad news for Wisconsin is you're down by 18 points, but the good news is you have a lot of time left in the game.
Look at that! Incredible offensive game, and he just makes it look so easy.
Well, we mentioned Davis is a big guy, but he does not have the lateral quickness to stay with Happ out on the perimeter.
Look at Simpson, off balance, miracle shot. Talk about resourceful. Simpson, a sophomore, Ohio native. 4 points. Badgers going to the well again. Happ, of course, so good with his vision. This is Pritzel from deep. Get it! Second 3 from Pritzel.
And Pritzel's another guy who struggled to shoot the 3 this year, but I don't know, it must be something in that smoke that they had before the game with the starting lineups.
Place felt like a nightclub pregame. Very entertaining. Offensive foul, this time on Simpson. And just to get back to Pritzel, Dan, he's been a starter, of course, for Wisconsin this season. Had struggled, demoted to the reserve unit, but had a big game in their win at Illinois on Thursday, and so far that has carried through today with Pritzel hitting a couple of threes off the bench for Greg Gard. .15-point game as Happ now starting to create some havoc. Able to draw contact as we'll get a timeout. 15-point lead for the Wolverines in command here in Madison.
The Big Ten has been a league that's been derided this year as maybe being a down league, but certainly you've got those 3 teams there in the top 16. The interesting thing there to me, Michigan State at a number 3 seed, so they're like the 11th overall seed, but they just upset Purdue and they were ranked number 4 in the poll. And of course, the tournament selection committee isn't looking at the polls, they look at a lot of different metrics. Here, Happ on the one-on-one, and that's one of the things he doesn't do very well, is shoot free throws, and he misses the front end of the one-on-one. And if you're going to try to come back in the game, those are opportunities you can't waste.
Ohio State making their push, now 14th in the country.
You know, we've been talking about Purdue. They've had a great season. They lost twice this week, but they had that 19-game winning streak, and they have been at the head of the class in the Big Ten. And Michigan State, of course, was highly ranked to start the season and stays highly ranked, but the team in first place in the Big Ten right at the moment is Ohio State.
It'd be Watson on the offensive rebound. And the other thing about the Buckeyes, they own the tiebreaker against both Purdue and Michigan State. It's going to be an interesting Big Ten Conference tournament in New York. Of course, a week earlier than usual. And it'll get here before you know it. This is Abdur Rahman going right at Happ. Got him off balance. Pretty play by Abdur Rahman.
We talked about Abdur Rahman before the game, and one of the things that he does really well is attack the basket. And yes, Happ can move his feet pretty quickly, but they got to help him.
Wagner denying Happ. And Wagner now doing it at both ends of the floor. Robinson, crowd wanted to travel.
On here, let's see if Simpson is going to try to take Happ again. That's a nice play by Davison, the point guard, number 34, Brad Davison, and White sensing it and switches very quickly.
Shot clock still at 10. This is Wagner. Will shoot over Happ. Hit a 3 just moments ago, and the rebound here cleared by Iverson.
But you'll notice Wisconsin isn't in any hurry to bring it up the court. They have got to be very efficient in the half-court offense.
This is the style, Dan, for both of these teams in terms of pace of play. 2 of the slower teams in the country as Pritzel, looking for his 3rd triple, has it rim out. Michigan 19-7, 8-5 in conference play, as we told you earlier. Currently number 20 in the AP poll. Taking on a Wisconsin team just 11-15, an uncharacteristically down year here in Madison.
Boy, nice job by Happ.
Robinson from deep again.
Now, you can say that guy's hitting 3, so you've got to get out there and guard him, but he just keeps backing up. He's now 4 for 4 shooting the 3. And that's as many threes as he's made in the last few games.
5th-year senior. There's Happ spinning. Can't finish over the top of Wagner. And Michigan looking for more. Here comes Abdur Rahman, little Euro step. Robinson turned back and then cleans up his own miss.
Well, he got the shot blocked, but was able to recover it and put it in. Michigan has also done a very nice job getting out in transition. They have kept the pressure on the Badgers.
Wisconsin, no points in the last 3+ minutes. 60 seconds left in the half. Happ looking for any kind of daylight against Wagner. And the long rebound corralled by Watson. Here comes the Michigan big off the bench. The whistle blown and free throws coming up for Ibby Watson, the sophomore out of Pickerington, Ohio. Reminder coming up, AT&T at the half. The selection committee revealed their top 16 seeds. If the madness were to begin today, Greg Clark, Seth, and Jerry Palm still in our New York studios. They'll break it all down. Plus, Jim Nantz will have a report on final round coverage of the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am. It's all coming up on AT&T at the half. Yeah, pretty much what we expected. Michigan very businesslike. Not sure we expected this kind of offensive efficiency, but they look like a team that knows that the time is now to really ratchet up their intensity.
I think that's a very good observation. They've come out here and played with a tremendous amount of intensity, but let's be honest, Spiro, the game is always much easier when the ball goes in the basket, and the ball went in the basket for them early, gave them some confidence, and I thought the key was the first 3 possessions of the game, they drove the ball to the basket, and that forced the Wisconsin defense back on the inside and created those open 3-point looks, and then the dam burst when they all started going in.
Iverson nearly traveled with it. Now to Davison with the shot clock at 8. Here comes the freshman point, stripped cleanly by Simpson. 4 to shoot. Iverson didn't realize it for a moment, fires up a 3. And of course, it's been an area where he has struggled mightily. Abdur-Rahman to the cup. Iverson got a piece. 10 seconds left. Shot clock is off. Wolverines can hold for the final shot. And now John Beilein wants the timeout. 6.4. We'll see what Beilein draws up here. All Michigan on CBS.
Next time I want you on my bowling team.
Rodney.
Bowling.
They go here.
Well, and they've also been running a defensive clinic. They have defended Ethan Happ for the most part without double teams, and even though Happ has had shots close to the basket, he's shooting a very poor percentage. And to be honest with you, the rest of the Wisconsin players seem to be looking around watching Happ play.
So 6.4 seconds left. That pass deflected by Iverson on the inbounds. They get it back. Robinson from deep. That'll be his first miss in 5 3-point attempts. As we reach halftime here in Madison, the Badgers go the final 4-19 without a point. As Michigan scores 7 straight to end the half. That's presented by Capital One. Efficiency galore for Michigan offensively in an incredible shooting exhibition. As we welcome you back here courtside, Spiro Dedes alongside Dan Bonner. The impressive first half by the Wolverines.
Really was an impressive first half, and you saw in the stats there, they made 8 3-point baskets, and I don't think that was really the key to the first half. I think the key to the first half was how they got to those 8 3-point baskets, and that is early in the game we saw the first 3 possessions, they attacked the basket. Now this is Matthews, and he's going to pick up a charge, but he goes down the lane, and that really set the tone. And then we see Xavier Simpson. He's going right by as everybody is worried about getting out and defending the 3. And then here again, this is the 3rd possession of the game. Matthews drives to the basket and scores, and that caused the Wisconsin defense to collapse on the inside, and as a result, Michigan had some great open looks, and for the first time in a couple of weeks, they knocked them down.
And Dan, we know it's a down year for the Badgers. Well, many people here expected them to struggle. Young team, all the freshmen. For me, the biggest surprise of the first half, they just didn't seem to compete with Michigan.
They got behind early, and it's tough when you know you're struggling on offense to get back into it. I mentioned in the first half, I think one of the problems is the ball's going into Happ, and then everybody's standing there watching him play. Happ is a guy who has 76 assists on the season. He only had 1 in the first half.
For all of their struggles and all their inexperience, this has been a tough team, a young, tough team. Evidenced by their big win at Illinois on Thursday. That's a good start with Happ going glass. Wisconsin went the final 4-19 in the first half, Dan, without scoring a point.
You have to dig in here. You have to assume that Michigan isn't going to shoot 65% in the second half. Well, maybe you can't assume that. It's a really nice play by Wagner. That's the 3rd time in this game that he's scored close to the basket, and I think that's a big key to him putting up huge numbers if he can score close to the goal in addition to shooting that 3.
Wagner now 4 of 6, 10 points. Look at Happ going to work. Taking Wagner off the dribble. Just not much he can't do offensively.
Well, but what they have to do, they can't. You're behind by 22 points. You can't trade baskets. At some point, you're going to have to lock down defensively and try to scramble back in the game. You're not going to get back in the game with your offense. You've got to create opportunities for yourself defensively.
We saw the alignment for the Wolverines. Duncan Robinson, who has the basketball, making his 19th start of the year as he is blocked from the back by Happ. Robinson will save to Matthews. And the shot clock resets for the Wolverines.
The shot clock reset because Happ had possession of the ball.
This is Abdur-Rahman trying to find some daylight against Happ. Still plenty of time to shoot. Wagner from deep. Beautiful looking arch on that shot. It was good from deep in the first half. Not that time.
Happ did a great job moving his feet defensively without fouling Abdur Rahman.
This is Iverson, and his offensive struggles continue.
Well, yeah, but you have to shoot the ball to be able to score, and that's only Iverson's second shot of the game. You're not going to score any points unless you put the ball up to the basket.
Well, you rarely see the Wolverines shoot so early in the shot clock. Abdur Rahman taking that long two, and then Wagner unable to save.
Yeah, but they feel like they're in a rhythm. And no matter what the coach says, whether he wants to play slowly or quickly, all players want to play fast. And so when the ball's going in the basket, you figure, okay, give the ball to me, I can put it in the basket.
Screen action by Davison coming around the pick. And Wisconsin finally showing some life.
And that's only Davison's fourth field goal attempt of the game. So he and Iverson got to get a little more involved.
And a quick answer from Charles Matthews. As it looks like Wagner hits the deck, he and Davison come together. Davison, one of the top freshmen in the Big Ten Conference this season. Nice little sportsmanship between those two players.
Well, now Davison, he'll get after you. He is a tough customer. You see that brace that he's got on his shoulder. He's playing with a shoulder that pops out every once in a while.
Originally hurt it in a game against Baylor. First couple of weeks of the season. It's actually been dislocated between 5 and 7 times. They'll kind of go back into the dressing room, Dan. They'll pop it back into place, and he'll come finish the game. He's done that on a number of occasions this year. As Greg Gard told us, he is as tough as nails. Wagner unable to finish underneath, and a long rebound tracked down by Iverson.
Now he missed that, but how about that behind-the-back dribble in the traffic, in the lane? That was an Ethan Happ-esque move there that he pulled on Happ.
Yeah, and Beeline told us Wagner has been way better as a shooter from the outside, and he's given us an element offensively as a big man that we just haven't had here in his years in Ann Arbor. Davison unable to finish. And then a collision, looks like it'll be against Aleem Ford as Abdur Rahman hits the deck. But Wagner, beg your pardon, as versatile a big man as we have seen in the conference, certainly behind Ethan Happ. Tonight on CBS, athletes, actresses, TV personalities, and Omarosa. See how they all get along in the same house. New Celebrity Big Brother tonight on CBS.
Michigan's defense has done a great job contesting just about everything Wisconsin has tried to do.
Jerry Palm, who was in the studio with our crew pregame and at halftime, as this Michigan team currently projected as an 8th seed in the tournament. Those early projections that Dan Bonner likes so much. Here's Wagner. Outside to Robinson. 3 to shoot. Where does he go? Wagner. Why not?
That's a good place to go.
And the shooting exhibition by the Wolverines continues.
And the officials are going to go and take a look to make sure that he got this off before the buzzer, the shot clock buzzer sounded. They just took a quick look, and yes, absolutely, you can see that he releases the ball well before that goes to 0.
Wagner, a junior from Berlin, Germany, averaging right around 14 points per game, but what a game he's played so far. 13 points. 20 in their loss on Tuesday at Northwestern. He had that foot ankle injury back in the early part of December. As John Beeline said, it took him about a month to really regain his form, but he's just playing as well as he's ever played at Michigan.
And if they're going to do anything, then that's exactly what has to happen.
Well, does Wisconsin have anything here in the second half? They started the half well. And so the Wolverines quickly restoring order. Here's Reavers, who has been awfully quiet in a traveling violation. There's nothing working for the Badgers. A dominant performance till this point by Michigan.
Sometimes that's a dangerous thing, and he makes a great pass to Ford. But as things have gone for the Badgers today, Ford cannot convert that. We mentioned Happ leads this team in assists. He's got 76 assists on the season. He only has 1 today. And interestingly, there you can see Happ and the rest of the team. Mo Wagner is not a big assist guy. He has 16 on the year to Happ's 76. Wagner's got 2 today. So he's got twice as many assists as Happ has today. That's kind of a day it's been for the Badgers.
Wisconsin as a team right now shooting at a 61% clip. And the Badgers, meantime, at just 40. Just haven't seen the energy, the intensity that we've seen from Wisconsin for all their struggles so far in this game.
There's an example of what you're talking about. Matthews throws it away, but Michigan misses. They're able to get the offensive rebound. Wisconsin, they still have time to get in gear, but they're running out of time.
Aaron Maish, a senior out of Green Bay, is back onto the floor. Here's Happ. Can he bail him out again? Davison from deep. One of the better freshman three-point shooters in the conference this season, but not that time.
He's matched up against Xavier Simpson, who's an outstanding defensive player, and I think Davison has really struggled today as a result. Nice pass.
Beautifully set up. Simpson inside to Teske.
You know, that's not Wagner, so I think Happ felt like he had a little more leeway with Teske, but Teske just does a great job setting the screen and going right to the basket.
Teske, good experience last year as a freshman under John Beilein. Probably played a little bit more than they anticipated, but what a play on that sequence. Corner three is good. That is Maish from deep. And only his second attempted and made three-pointer all season.
That's what Ethan Happ can do to you. We just showed you a replay where they missed the shot. They made it that time. They need a lot more of that. Nice block out by Happ.
Yeah, Dan, we're talking about what a trying year it's been for a Wisconsin program that has been up for so long. But this is really a chance now for Greg Gard to kind of remake this program. His first couple of years, the Sweet 16 finishes as Happ misses underneath. Trying to clean up his own mess and will shoot free throws here. But still playing with many of Bo Ryan's same players. As we remind you, Tuesday, 8:30 Eastern, CBS Sports Network. 18th ranked Rhode Island looking to stay hot as they'll take on Richmond on the 24-hour home of CBS Sports. But this really guards chance over the next year, 2 years, to remake this program in his own mold.
Well, I think the mold is going to be the same. This is not a Wisconsin program that's going to get a lot of top five, recruits, five-star, four-star recruits. They're going to bring guys in. They're going to use a lot of red shirts. They're going to develop players. And I think the key to the success over time has been the fact that they haven't had to play a lot of young guys. They've had a lot of guys who've been willing to wait their turn, and then they've seen players develop. And part of the problem is you look at the junior class, with the exception of Happ, those guys haven't really developed. And then those two guys on the bench, Trice and King, they're guys who were expected to play, who got hurt. So when you combine the fact that your development hadn't really gone as long as well as you expected to, you have injuries, and you're having to play a lot of young players, it's not surprising that they're having a bit of a down year.
This is Wagner underneath. Masterful.
What's stunning, Spiro, is that Wisconsin hasn't had one of these since 1998. And here's Wagner. We talk about his three-point shooting ability, but he has operated very effectively down in the post today. And with the way Michigan's shooting threes, you can't go down there to help out against it.
17 points for Wagner, 7 rebounds. He has missed only 4 of his 11 shots. One of his better all-around games of the season. You mentioned Trice, who went down with the injury. He was their starting point guard at the time of the foot injury on December the 8th. There was a hope that he could return, but that is unlikely, so they will probably shut him down for the rest of the season and likely use that red shirt and hope for the best next year for the young man. Also, Kobe King, they went down the same day. King, the season-ending injury. As there have been bystanders since that night.
Well, you don't want to overstate the case. Lots of times your best player is always the guy who's not available. And there, Ford drives the ball to the basket, something he doesn't do very much. But when those two guys go down, it forces you in right as you're getting ready for conference play to sort of redo everything you're doing. People have got to step into different roles. They had no idea that Davison was going to spend the year as their starting point guard. He was maybe going to be a backup point guard.
Wagner, well played by Reavers underneath, got it back. And a hooking foul against Wagner. That's the best defense they've played on him all day. Nicely done by Nate Reavers.
Well, Reavers holds his position very well. He gets his hands up and blocks the shot without dropping that arm. And that time he does drop the arm, but he had already been hooked by Wagner. And even though that's a foul, John Beeline's got to love that because Wagner's not a guy who's noted for his inside play, so you're getting all those little maneuvers down in there. That's pretty good.
He's got a lot to his game, does Wagner. Here's Reavers on the outside, just is not giving them much offensively. One of the freshman starters for guard. Here comes Davison, speaking of freshmen.
But Davison just powered his way to the basket, but as things have gone today, just can't get it to go.
What a play underneath, up and under from Jordan Poole.
I think the reason he was able to make that play, his shorts are so much shorter than everybody else's. He had less drag. But he tried one of those in his first half and he missed it, but he made that one.
I think more kids should go with the short shorts, Dan. I think it's a great look. These guys spend so much time in the gym. Why not show off their physique? Harkening back to your days.
We had that in the 70s when nobody had a physique.
This is Reavers trying to set up his own shot. Nicely done.
That's his first field goal attempt of the game. Not his first make, obviously it is his first make, but it's his first attempt. And as I said before about Iverson, you can't score if you don't shoot.
Freshman out of Lakeville, Minnesota. Missed the first 5 games. Actually thought he would redshirt at the end of November. Fought twice and has become a starter since for Greg Gard. Brilliant finish as Poole goes airborne.
Best pizza, New York style.
No way, Chicago deep.
Lost last night. What a crazy week this week. Of course, St. John's, which to me is, you've been watching this and covering the sport for a lot longer than I have, Dan. That is as just crazy stories we've seen. 0-11 in conference to beat those 2 teams in a week.
Well, that's amazing. And then, you know, Virginia lost and Purdue lost twice. And
it seems like every year, the last couple of years, we've said, boy, this is going to be the most wide open tournament we've seen maybe ever. And it really is heading down that same path this season.
And I think you're right, Spiro, but you look around the country and there just are multiple teams that are capable of winning 6 games. And that's, you get in the tournament, you win 6 games, 7 if you're in the first 4, and that's a possibility too.
Here's Reavers suddenly coming alive.
You win 6 games in a row and you're the national champions. You win 4 in a row, you go to the Final Four. That's really what we're talking about here. And this Michigan team, if they can get into the NCAA tournament and play this way, you know, they can win 4 or 5 in a row.
First step, of course, will be that Big Ten Conference tournament, which will be played a week earlier than usual in New York as Matthews misfires.
And that's going to be an interesting thing for Big Ten teams as well. I think it'll actually be a benefit for the team that wins the tournament having to play 4 or 5 or 3 games to win the tournament. But what about the highly rated team that gets upset in the first round? They've got to sit around for almost 2 weeks before they play again. So it'll be interesting to see how that works. Although I think it's a great idea for them to have their tournament in Madison Square Garden.
Well, don't look now, but here come the Badgers now, showing a pulse. 7 straight points to cut it to 16. First time this crowd has had something to cheer about. Here's Poole, poked away and stolen by Pritzel, and then he takes one on the chin by Wagner.
And Poole gets a little too fancy there. Pritzel is an outstanding defensive player. Poole puts the ball right in front of him and he takes it away, pays the price for it, but this is what we've been talking about. If Wisconsin is going to make a run in this situation, they've got to get it done on the defensive end, and for the last couple of possessions, they've either forced turnovers or forced Michigan into difficult shots.
Second personal on Wagner, so he stays on the floor here and defends half. This is a Wisconsin team that had one of its better offensive performances of the season in that win Thursday at Illinois. But it has been a struggle so far today. Pritzel, 8 to shoot. Down low to Happ, spins, and going to work against Wagner. Magical finish.
Again, this is a very skilled big man here. There's not too many guys that Wagner will guard who can make that kind of a move at that point on the floor. You know, most big guys, if they're going to play in the post, somebody has to pass the ball into him, but Happ just dribbles into his post position. Now, isn't this interesting?
And this Wisconsin here up top in the rafters of the Kohl Center. Right now the Badgers finally playing some inspired basketball. There's Alondo Tucker, speaking of some of the Wisconsin greats behind that Badgers bench, now part of Greg Gard's staff here.
This is a Wisconsin team that has shown a little life, and you can see how great the fans are here. Just a little life on the part of the Badgers, and this crowd has come back into the game. You know, the good news is you've scored 10 in a row. The bad news is you're still down 13.
Matthews going glass, well played, and Wisconsin controls. Michigan led by as many as 25 points. It's the closest that the Badgers have been since the 7:50 mark of the first half. Pretzel. Beautifully done.
That's a great play to fake the three, step inside, and shoot the ball with confidence. Pretzel, as we said, is a guy who's been struggling recently with his shot, but that was a really nice play.
Abdul-Rahman, first Michigan points in nearly 4 minutes.
It's another thing we talked about before the game. When Michigan needs a basket, Muhammad Ali Abdul-Rahman is a guy to whom they look to go get it.
How did he do that? 24 points for the junior. Wagner, beautifully set up by Abdul-Rahman. What court vision by the senior from Allentown, Pennsylvania, to set the table for Wagner.
Well, Reavers was guarding Wagner on that play, lost him on the screen and roll, and as we've seen Wagner do numerous times today, he just goes right to the basket.
Here comes Iverson. Fans and the Badgers want the basket that will count, and they will indeed count it. Goal-10 and a chance at a three-point play for Iverson. The Badgers have hit 7 straight shots.
And we saw Michigan do that kind of thing in the first half, but Happ makes an outstanding play going to the basket, and the Badgers have it going a little bit here. Iverson driving the ball to the basket. Got a game, folks. Pretzel steps in and knocks it down. So I think that the key has been they've been able to make it a little tougher on Michigan to score. And keep in mind, Michigan at one point in the first half was making all their shots, and eventually, Spiro, that's going to stop. And the question for the Badgers is, did they get too far behind?
7 straight makes for Wisconsin. So at this point, they're doing it at both ends of the floor. Brevin Pretzel is one of his better 2-game stretches, certainly in recent weeks. A kid who has been struggling, starter, then demoted to the second unit, but his performance against Illinois has carried through today, so they've gotten a little bit more around Happ, who has been a kid who's had to shoulder so much of the scoring load this season. Iverson unable to convert the free throw.
Well, Happ was 5 for 13 shooting in the first half. He's 5 for 6 in the second half. So he still had tough opportunities, but he's been able to convert.
And this fan base that has been so loyal and really so spoiled over the years, trying to rally the troops here. Crowd wanted to travel. Matthews somehow maintains possession. Wagner inside to Robinson, who's fouled. And fans still upset about that no call.
I thought Matthews did a nice job maintaining his pivot foot in there. He put his hand down, but you're allowed to do that.
So free throws here for Duncan Robinson, making the start for Isaiah Livers, the freshman, out today with a foot/ankle injury that he sustained earlier this week at Northwestern on Tuesday night. But Robinson has been a starter for most of the season, 19th start of the year. And when he's been good, as we said earlier, Michigan has been just a lot more difficult to contend with.
You talk about the Wolverines' free throw woes. Well, Robinson is not, he's not part of that problem. Shoots over 90% from the line, so the Wolverines are happy to see him there.
Michigan, 3rd worst free throw shooting team among all power conference teams. Rutgers, the only team that's worse in the Big Ten. Shocking, because they were top 8 in free throw percentage last season for John Beilein. Here's Happ going back to work against Wagner. Well played by the German national.
I think Happ that time sort of outfoxed himself, made that a little bit more difficult, gave an extra fake and a pivot and went to his left hand. I'm not sure he needed to do that.
Wisconsin, Dan, used so much energy to get back into the game. You wonder where they are right now. Seem to have hit a little bit of a wall again. Here comes Abdur-Rahman, puts it on the deck against Ford, and a whistle blown against the Wisconsin freshman from Georgia. On February the 28th on CBS, brace yourself for a game-changing new season. Survivor Ghost Island premieres Wednesday, February the 28th on CBS. That'll be number 4 against the lean Ford, so he sits, and Brad Davison checks back in for Greg Gard.
Spiro, you're right about the team that has to expend all that energy coming back. You just have to somehow try to maintain your energy.
Robinson, good rotation off that shot, a little bit short. Iverson lead pass, Happ, running the deck. He can do it all.
That was some pass by Iverson. And that's very alert to even look down the court because the Badgers don't normally get out and run.
26 for Happ, the All-American. And we hit the 6-minute mark, second half. Where does Michigan turn here? Abdur-Rahman putting it on his shoulders again. He's got 8. He's had some big late game moments, hasn't he?
Well, he's the guy who silenced the crowd twice here today.
Long two, that is Weavers. Had his foot on the three-point line.
But he shot that ball with confidence. There have been times this year when we've seen Reavers not shoot the ball with a lot of confidence, but after a tough first half, he's played really well in the second half.
All 7 of his points and 3 shot attempts, for that matter, have come since halftime. Back to Dan's point. Matthews going glass.
Basket's good by Matthews.
And a chance at a 3-point play for the junior out of Chicago, the Kentucky transfer, going right through the defense.
And that's the thing. Matthews is a guy who's quick enough to get into the defense and strong enough to finish in there once he does. He is a very difficult matchup when he decides he's taking the ball to the goal.
Sat out last season after the transfer from Kentucky. But they saw how talented he was all season, watching him in practice a year ago. He's had some big scoring games, 6 20-point games this season, and a 31-point game against Alabama A&M. Actually, the first Wolverine to hit the 30-point mark in 3 years.
Well, that's a 54% free throw shooter. He just made a free throw, too.
It has been the lone weakness of his offensive game. Three-pointer from Davison. And a quick timeout taken by Greg Gard. Now, just when you thought the Badgers were dead, here they come.
Introducing the new 2018 Ford F-150.
Now, this Michigan Wolverine team, 20th in the AP poll, up by as many as 25 points if you've just joined us. But the Badgers, Dan, finally putting their hearts into it and somehow clawed their way back to within 11.
They played better defense, forced Michigan into some tougher shots, and then they've made some shots themselves. So the problem is it's very tough when you get down by 25. Doesn't make any difference what point in the game the 25-point lead is. Really a tough task to come all the way back.
This is Matthews, gets the screen from Wagner. Abdur-Rahman from deep. Well short, rebound Happ. Badgers off and running. Davison wants to go right back at Happ, unable to find him around the horn. This is Reavers. Well played, Simpson with a theft. Here he comes up the floor, dishes. Matthews going glass.
What a sequence by Simpson down on the defensive end. He stepped in front of Happ, prevented the pass into Happ. Then he sprinted across the other side of the court, picked up his own man, stole the ball, and then created that play on the fast break.
Simpson, only a sophomore, played behind Derek Walton last year. We're getting a legal screen here against Happ as he floors Abdur-Rahman with a pick.
This is a great play by Simpson, coming over the back without fouling and then doing a great job of evaluating his position on the court. He was surrounded by white shirts, but he was very aware of the position of those white shirts and then found his teammate Matthews open in traffic. And again, Matthews is a guy who can finish in traffic.
Simpson won't score a ton of points for you, Dan, but he's 15th in the country in assist-to-turnover ratio. It gives you so much of what you want from your point guard. And he has been a good backcourt mate for Charles Matthews. This is Abdul Rahman. As we move on to the 4-minute mark left in the second half. Here comes Simpson again. Right over the top of Pritzel. Won't go. Rebound Happ.
Wisconsin's in a situation where they have to score just about every time down.
13-point game. Happ single covered. He likes that. Going against Wagner. Stepping middle. Too easy.
I think when Happ gets the ball, his Wisconsin teammates have to do a better job finding open spots out on the court.
28 points for Happ. That matches his season best. And that came in a game against Indiana. As a whistle is blown. Looks like a foul charged here to Khalil Iverson. 11-point game on CBS.
What kind of SUV is that?
Here, Simpson and Matthews. Simpson, who's going to the line now for a 1-and-1, is on the season a 49% free throw shooter. And this has been an issue for Michigan all year long. You know, they won the game against Minnesota despite shooting 12 of 28 from the line. And so Simpson is a very poor free throw shooter. And you're going to see Wisconsin adopt the strategy, foul him, put him on the line, see if they can get him to miss, and then go down and get a basket.
And this will be something, unless, Stan, that they can improve the free throw shooting, something that they're going to be contending with certainly the final couple of games of the regular season and in that conference tournament.
Makes them vulnerable. There's no question about that. Particularly this guy. The ball's going to be in his hand at the end of the game.
You know, we asked, as he gets set here for the 1-and-1, John Beilein, there's a little bit of a hitch that he's had since he was a little kid, shooting right at the top of his release, where he actually loses sight. He blocks his own vision of the hoop as he brings the ball up in front of his face, something that he has really tried to work on, but it's clearly still an issue for him.
Well, now the Badgers, the first part of the strategy worked, but can they put the ball in the basket?
Here comes Happ. Lost the handle. Well played by Wagner for the loose ball. 5 to shoot. Pritzel from deep. Badly needed that shot. Last touch by Matthews. And the shot clock resets with 2:39
yes,
remaining.
It did, but they took the whole 30 seconds, and so this is a nice job battling for the rebound. It goes off Matthews out of bounds, but they used 30 seconds. I don't know if they have that much time.
Ford from deep. It's an 8-point game.
Well, now you have to make Rahman give up the ball, and then as soon as Simpson gets the ball, you got to foul him.
Wagner had it knocked out of bounds by Happ. But Dan, you're right. They blow a golden opportunity to get to Simpson when he had it.
Well, but that's a great job by Simpson to get rid of the ball. I mean, that's the kind of a little play that you make.
So this game getting very interesting suddenly. A Michigan team that led by 25 points if you've just joined us. The Wolverines just 1-13 in this city in their last 14 trips to Madison.
It's a tough place from which to inbound the basketball.
Simpson the inbounder against Davison. So plenty of time to shoot. 17 on the 30. Wagner locates Simpson. Bodies flying all over the place. Davison hits the deck.
The Wisconsin foul is on Khalil Iverson.
Officials will give it to Iverson. That'll be his second. And still a 1-and-1 here as Simpson back to the free throw line.
Mentioned Michigan, those are the lowest free throw percentages in the conference, obviously. And again, the guys who shoot most of the free throws are Simpson and Matthews, and they're the two worst free throw shooters, so that's how something like that occurs.
Michigan was 8th best in the country last season in free throw shooting. Offensive rebound knocked into the hands of Matthews, and that is a killer for the Badgers. Abdul Rahman is fouled. He is a 79% free throw shooter.
So again, the strategy from the standpoint of getting the missed free throw worked, but then you have to get the rebound. Wagner did a great job tipping that ball out.
For Michigan, Abdul Rahman, shooting 2.
So again, Abdul Rahman is a guy who makes plays. This is the guy you want with the ball in his hands at the end of the game.
Game-winning free throws against Maryland in that 1-point win.
And keep in mind, they'll be in the double bonus from now on. That 1-and-1 that Simpson, that second one-and-one that Simpson missed was the last one-and-one that they'll have to shoot from now on. It'll all be two-shot fouls.
Jordan Poole in his very short shorts back onto the floor for the Wolverines as Abdur-Rahman pushes it back to a double-digit lead.
What you really have to do now is you got to pressure the ball, but you don't foul and you defend the three. I don't think that Wisconsin can come back and win this game without making threes.
Reverend Pritzel is fouled as he put it on the deck, and John Beeline can't believe that his guys are fouling here.
But that's only the 16th foul, so they're not going to shoot. But again, you play off the Wisconsin players. You force them to drive the ball to the basket. You don't get right up on them, so you get the foul, but you defend the three.
Yep, just walking Wagner down the paint. And a good look at it, and Wagner is there to clear. And for Michigan, this would be only their 4th true road victory of the season, as we told you. They've really struggled away from Ann Arbor.
And Simpson, they took him out of the game, and they put Poole in.
The Wisconsin fouls on Brad Davis in his second.
Again, I'm just not sure how you leave a 49% free throw shooter on the floor at the end of games. It's just such a gamble from a coaching perspective.
Well, you really can't, but in a game that's closer, maybe you have to have your point guard in there to make the kind of plays, and that's where the confidence in Abdur-Rahman comes in. The way he can play, he does a little bit of everything. He misses the free throw right there, but he can handle the ball. He can make sure he finds open men. He can drive the ball to the basket. He can make free throws. And it shows a lot of confidence in Poole.
Who's a good free throw shooter as well, 79, nearly 80%. Both free throws converted. Rahman, we mentioned the game-winning free throws against Maryland last week. Of course, had that game-winning three-point play to beat Minnesota. And some of his other late-game heroics. Hap here run into by Wagner. There's a collision there, and a one-and-one here for the junior All-American out of Illinois. As Wagner picks up his 4th. Tough year for Ethan Happ. Last year, of course, had so many veteran guys around him, Dan, so much experience, as good as he was, leading them in virtually every statistical category. He's gone from that to now being the guy who really does everything and has to be the leader in that locker room. Much different set of circumstances, as Greg told us earlier.
Yeah, but he's put up great numbers. He has done his share of the work. He's averaging almost 18 points a game. And as we said, he leads them in points, he leads them in rebounds, he leads them in assists, he leads them in block shots, he leads them in steals. There's not a whole lot more he can do for this team, but I think the point that you made, he just had better players around him last year. So it's not a matter of just him being the guy with the bullseye on his back. It's a matter when he passes the ball back out, he's not throwing it to Bronson Taney.
Happ misses on the second. Season high for Happ today, 29 points as Jordan Poole is fouled. Told you, 79% free throw shooter.
Yeah, but he's a freshman. I think I would give him a chance at the free throw line if I was Wisconsin. But I had a little chat with Poole before the game. What a personality he is.
He is the life of the locker room, in addition to all his skills as a freshman. What a future he has in front of him. Milwaukee kid. He was actually a high school teammate of Brian Bowen last year at their prep school in Indiana. Bowen, of course, at the center of that Louisville scandal, who has since moved on to South Carolina. Pretty good high school team that they had, as Poole able to convert the first.
The kid does not mind having the ball in his hands, that's for sure.
So $1:25 left to play. We'll see if the Badgers have one last push here.
You got to get threes. You don't have time to do it 2 at a time. And Michigan's doing a great job defending the three-point line.
Using a lot of clock here. Davison, that's a long two, about the last shot that they wanted. Well done underneath by Pritzel. That cuts it to 9, and then a quick timeout taken by Greg Gard. 9-point Michigan lead as we come down the stretch on CBS. Seconds left. The Badgers are out of timeouts. They cut it to 9 as Michigan will inbound it down. The Badgers shooting 66% in the second half to make it a game here down the stretch.
And Michigan shot the ball that well in the first half to jump out to the lead, and It was a game that Michigan set the tone early by attacking the basket. Then the threes started to fall, and Wisconsin made a nice run in the second half, but really they never threatened, and every time they looked like they were going to threaten, Abdur-Rahman made a play and silenced the crowd.
Quick inbounds to Poole. Now to Abdur-Rahman, and he is fouled by Pritzl. And we told you where Michigan sits currently. Entered the day 20th in the AP poll, 19-7. This would get them to 20 wins on the season, 9 in Big Ten play, as they try to bolster their resume with just 3, making 4 regular season games left, Dan, after today.
Of course, everybody remembers the Michigan story last year. They started to play well at the end of the regular season, and then they had the airplane crash on the way to the Big Ten tournament, and they swept through the Big Ten tournament and were like the most popular team in college basketball. It was a great story, and I'm not sure they're going to have a story like that again, but here they've taken their cue of this time of the year, and they've played very well in an environment where we said in the last 14 games they came 1-13, so this is a tough place to play, and they've been dominant from the opening tip.
Brevin Pritzl is fouled on a 3-point attempt by Jordan Poole. Well, that'll get him into John Beilein's doghouse very quickly.
Well, he's in there to shoot free throws, not necessarily to make great defensive decisions.
Badgers have trailed by as many as 25 points. They've never led in this game.
Now you have to contest the three, not foul the three.
It's a fine line sometimes as Pritzl readies himself. Free throw 2 of 3. Pritzl, the sophomore, Wisconsin kid. 15 points in the win at Illinois on Thursday. And he's followed that up with a dozen in this game.
Now if you're Wisconsin, you have no choice. If you don't get a steal, you have to foul immediately, and you can't worry about who you foul.
Again, precious seconds coming off the clock as they will continue to try to extend this game. As Happ hits the deck. And free throws coming up 2 for Abdur-Rahman. Coming up next, final round coverage of the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am. We'll get you out to Southern California. Coverage is available right now on PGATourLive.com and CBSSports.com. We'll get you there as soon as this game is over. Muhammad Ali Abdur-Rahman, the senior, Allentown, Pennsylvania native. What a high school career he had at Catholic Central, all-time leading scorer in the history of that program. Star reserve for John Beilein, early portion of his career, became a starter last year. And if they're going to go deep into the postseason, he is going to have to be huge for this Michigan team down the stretch.
And he has been huge at big moments for Michigan this year, so he's certainly a guy who's capable of doing it.
Davison's shot is blocked, and he is fouled again. And John Beilein is irate. Wagner, meantime, has fouled out. Second three-point shooter that the Wolverines have fouled in the last minute.
Well, and I don't know that Davison didn't get away with one there when, by the rules, you're not supposed to let the guy, if you're the official, jump up and get that leg kick in there. But we talked about Davison being a tough kid. He's also a smart kid. He just jumps up in the air and kicks out his leg.
Davison grew up in Maple Grove, Minnesota. Was arguably the best football player in the state. Was a quarterback at Maple Grove High School, a running quarterback. Was elected to play basketball. And
well, you can understand Wagner. The leg just kicks out, and that's that's pretty clever.
Well, it's kind of been an element to jump shots that we've seen perfected by some of the greats. Of course, Reggie Miller, our good buddy, made it famous. And a chance for the Badgers here, Dan, to cut it to 7.
That's just a really smart play. And it's a play that he got away with. And you can understand why John Beeline's upset, but you can understand why Wagner's telling him, Coach, it wasn't my fault.
Davison, top 5 among Big Ten freshmen in free throw percentage, nearly 80%. And right now, John Beilein hoping that his Wolverines have the answers. Quick throw into Robinson. And again, precious time coming off the clock. They'll get it into the hands of Abdul Rahman outside the Poole. Badgers can't get to anyone, and finally Aleem Ford able to get to Poole. And 2 free throws here for the freshman. I beg your pardon, let's see, was it? Yes, it was Poole or Watson.
No, Watson, Zibby Watson.
Dan, they're like twins. Same haircut, same short shorts. Aleem Ford, meantime, has fouled out.
And now, Watson's a good guy to go get. He's only attempted 5 free throws all year long.
Haven't seen much of the sophomore today. 60% free throw shooter. Only his 6th and 7th free throws attempted of the season. I mean, it is uncanny, Poole and Watson. So 9-point game. Quick timeout here taken by John Beilein with 30.8 to play.
I think he's going to tell him don't foul a 3-point shooter.
When it comes.
A Michigan team that was beaten early this week at Northwestern, trying to get back in the win column. A win today that would push their record to 20-7 and 9-5 in conference play, as they currently sit number 20 in the AP poll.
And they sit number 5 in the Big Ten. And so, of course, they showed last year that 4 games in 4 days, no problem. But if you could get that double bye, you'd certainly like to have it.
Top 4 teams finish with that double bye, as Dan mentioned.
And then 5 through 10, they get a single bye.
Teams at the bottom, and Wisconsin likely will be one of those teams. If they continue down this path, would have to play on day 1 of the tournament, which will be in New York. As we mentioned, a week earlier than usual. Jordan Poole is fouled. Davison just flying all over the place.
They couldn't catch.
It's actually
Poole.
on Pritzel.
That was a nice job by Poole. And we've talked about his shooting ability, but he's got some speed to him. They couldn't catch him to foul.
So, Dan, it looks like Michigan's going to hold on here in a frustrating season for the Badgers and their fans that have been treated to some great hoops here over the last decade plus. Will continue. If there's one thing you can put your hat on, it's a young team that is gaining some incredibly valuable experience as they try to restock and reload for next year. Second full season for Greg Gard since taking over for Bo Ryan back in December of 2015. All part of the process here in Madison. 11-point game after the Poole free throw, as the final seconds will come off the clock. TJ Schlunt, Jr., another Wisconsin product. Started the season as a walk-on, now a scholarship player for the Badgers. Wisconsin will fall to 11-16. Most losses in a season for the Badgers in 20 years. That 97-98 season, consequently the last time they did not qualify for the NCAA tournament. The Wolverines with only their 2nd win in their last 15 trips to Madison. Updated look at the standings as the Wolverines get to 9-5 in conference play. For Dan Bonner, our producer Ken Mack, Suzanne Smith, our director, rest of our CBS crew, Spiro Dita saying so long from Madison. Coming up next, final round coverage of the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am. This has been a presentation of CBS Sports.
Get the CBS Sports app to watch live college